Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Mindful Monday. If it's your first time here for Mindful Monday, you're welcome to, whether you're watching live or the recording. You can type in comments, chat, whatever device you're watching on. You can type your name, where you're coming from. Even if it's the recording, we will see that. If you have any questions, you can either DM or put it in the comments chat again. And if you have any topics you'd like to have us cover in the near future, we can do the same thing if you put it in comments or if you direct message me if it's more private. Also, we do appreciate, I'll put it in the comments afterwards, if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can get the word out. And if you write mindful in comments or direct message mindful, then you will be signed up to get the PDF cheat sheet, which is a PDF of whatever we cover today. It comes out, today's will come out at 6:45 p.m. on Sunday. So today we are here to talk about how to use EFT or tapping to release unwanted feelings. So first things first, what is EFT? So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's sometimes called tapping. And it originated when a psychologist known as Dr. Roger Callahan, I believe it was 1979, he was working with a patient named Mary, and she had been seeing him for a while, and she had a terrible, terrible phobia of water, all kinds of water. And so they had been working together for a time, using different techniques, etc., to no avail. And so she was sitting in his office, and she said, even the thought of water gives me this feeling in the pit of my stomach. And so the psychologist, he had been also studying some alternative medicine, such as Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So he asked her to tap with her fingertips underneath the eye here, because that's a meridian in acupuncture or Chinese medicine that can help, it's the stomach meridian. So he thought that might relieve the symptom of the feeling in the pit of her stomach. And much to both of their surprise, not only did it relieve the feeling in the pit of her stomach, her 30-year phobia of water was completely gone and stayed gone. So he started doing some research on this, and this was the beginnings of EFT or tapping. He had a student whose name was, let me make sure I get it right, Gary Craig. And Gary Craig was studying the results from all of this, and he came to the belief, he determined that the sequence that you tap in is not as important as the actual tapping itself. And so he developed what we now use as EFT. He terms the phrase EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and he developed a single sequence technique and named it such. And the sequence is going to hit upon every one of the major meridian points. And so his actually is, so it starts at the karate chop, which is the pinky side of the hand, and then it goes to the inner eyebrow, outer eyebrow, under the eye, under the nose, the chin. I think he does the sides of the ribs and then the top of the head, yeah. And so you might ask, does EFT work? Well, research at Harvard Medical shows that simply stimulating the meridian points reduces fear, anxiety, the whole fight or flight response. And that was proven in fMRIs and PET scans. So yes, it is useful and it works. Now, Dr. Church was another researcher, and he found that 1 hour of tapping or EFT reduced cortisol levels in a study group of 83 people by an average of 24%, but some of them had decreases of 50%. So that's pretty significant. Also, tapping or EFT is sometimes called energy psychology, and it was recognized by the APA as, quote unquote, an evidence-based practice for a range of conditions that produces outcomes that are unusually rapid, effective, and lasting. So that's pretty profound for them to say that. And then Rick Wilkes is known to have said, if someone can be traumatized in 30 seconds, why can't they be healed in a day, an hour, or a minute? And so he's an EFT expert kind of guy. So I like the Tapping Solution book, and there's also an app by Nick Ortner. They have an 8-step approach. So the first one is going to be, they call it Choose Your MPI, which simply stands for your most pressing issue. And so you want to be as specific as possible, because the more specific you are, so if you have a pain in your back, you might say the stabbing pain in my lower back kind of thing, the better the results, they say. So it looks, and then you'll also want to create a reminder. They do a reminder phrase. I actually don't use this myself, but the reminder phrase is a short phrase. It's so this fear I'm having or this stabbing pain kind of thing. So step 2 is then you'll take your issue, shall we say, and you'll rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. 0 is it doesn't bother me at all, and 10 is it's the worst ever. And so this is called an SUD, or subjective units of distress scale. So after you have your rating, then you create your setup statement. So your setup statement sounds something like, of course, you'll fill in the blank with your issue. Even though I have this, fill in the blank, anxiety, shall we say, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. All right, so they say that once you have that setup statement, that you'll start tapping on your karate points, your karate chop points, and you'll repeat this statement 3 times. Okay, and then the next thing you'll do is you'll tap from the other 7 points. So I guess that would be the head down. And you'll do that 3 to 5 times while saying your reminder statement. So personally, because remember, the tapping itself is more important than the sequence. So to me, it's simpler to start at the head and work my way down to the hand. And I also tap collarbones. So I add 1 step. But basically, I say the setup phrase the whole time because I like the whole positive self-talk. So I'll say, even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. And then I'll do my inner eyebrow, even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. Outer eyebrow, even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. And we'll go under the eye, even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. And we go under the nose. Even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. The chin clef. Even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. Again, I do collarbones. Even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. And there's the sides of the ribs. Even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. And like I said, I do karate chops last. Even though I'm experiencing this anxiety, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and am willing to let it go. And then the next step is you'll take a nice deep breath. You can close your eyes, kind of feels, a little more relaxing. And then you're gonna rate your issue. Again, so if it was anxiety, you'd rate it from 0 to 10, and you would kind of notice what the drop is. And it usually is a pretty significant drop. I teach this to folks all the time in my office, and generally just doing it, 3 times on each one does get a 20-30% drop. And so then the next step, obviously, is you'll repeat it as needed. So you'll want to get down to, whatever's tolerable for you, but, you aim for 0 or 1, why not? So there is another option developed by Dr. Patricia Carrington, and it's the choice statement. So if you don't like the setup statement, which was that even though I'm experiencing or feeling, I love and approve myself totally and completely. So she developed this choice statement for folks who kind of struggled with saying, I love and approve of myself totally and completely, and she felt it empowered them to give them the choice too. So the choice statement, and again, the tapping would be the same, but it would sound something more like, even though I'm angry about what happened at work, I choose to let it go now. Or even though I have this stabbing pain in my lower back, I choose to relax now. Or even though I'm frustrated by what I said to so-and-so, I choose to forgive myself now. So that's the secondary option. It's nice, it's a nice option. I tend to just say the same thing over and over again because it's so ingrained in me, so it gets to be really easy because it's a lot more useful to me if I don't have to pull out note cards and figure out what to do. So what can you tap on? So you can tap on symptoms or side effects. And so the Ortners will call this, they use a metaphor of a tree, and that would be like the leaves of the tree. But it can be addictions and cravings. It could be PTSD. It can be like an ailment, procrastination, clutter, self-sabotage, asthma, pain, illness, etc., etc. The second thing you can tap on is your actual emotions, and they would call this the branches of the tree. So we have the leaves out there and we're getting closer in, so that would be the branches. And of course and you want to be as specific as possible. So they do list quite a bit, such as alienation, ambivalence, anger, anxiety, bitterness, boredom, contempt, depression, despair, disgust, distress, doubt, dread, embarrassment, envy, fear, frustration, fury, grief, grouchiness, guilt, hatred, homesickness, hope, horror. I think that was supposed to be hopelessness, not hope. So hopelessness, horror, hostility, humiliation, hunger, hysteria, insecurity, loathing, loneliness, paranoia, pity, powerlessness, rage, regret, remorse, resentment, shame, stress, suffering, worry, whatever comes, whatever resonates with you. Then their third thing that they say that you can tap on are events. Now they call events the trunk of the tree. Okay, and so events can be kind of like childhood events. In hypnosis, we would call it like ISE, ISR kind of thing. And so that would be detached parents, you're bullied growing up, abuse of any kind, you're over-disciplined, over-criticized, physically punished, your family's always fighting or shouting, you feel unsupported, unloved, you had alcoholic parents, etc., etc. Now the fourth thing they say that you can tap on is limiting beliefs. So the Ortners call this the roots of the tree. In hypnotherapy, we kind of say that the ISE, initial sensitizing event or relationship, would kind of be more the root, but I'm just going with theirs to share because it is a great book and has great metaphors and all kinds of interesting information. So your limiting beliefs would be stuff like, I'm not safe, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I can't do anything right, I'll never be able to support myself, I don't deserve this, that kind of stuff. So there's really core kind of limiting beliefs. So some of the main points to kind of consider here are tapping is a form of bilateral stimulation. So when we have something like a fear, a trauma, a feeling of stuckness, it's kind of ingrained in one hemisphere of the brain. And so what we tend to do is we tend to like keep checking on it. Oh, is there still pain there? Oh, am I still? And so it makes it stronger and stronger. So when things are stuck in one hemisphere of the brain, this bilateral stimulation, which is simply using both sides of the body, it's actually going to enlist both sides of the brain, both hemispheres of the brain, so it can release kind of trapped emotion kind of stuff. So this can be anything from the EFT tapping that we're talking about today to tossing a ball or a pen back and forth in your hands to just walking or running and dancing, all that kind of stuff. The points that we tap on though in EFT, there are also these meridians, which are the acupuncture and acupressure points. And so they're proven to relieve a multitude of different issues as well. So there's a secondary benefit to actually doing the tapping work. And at least in my opinion, saying it out loud, if at all possible, I mean, also saying it in your mind is going to be useful, but saying the setup phrase out loud and saying like the nice things, like I love and approve of myself totally and completely, is a form of self-care that's very therapeutic as well. Because when we are stuck in emotions or pain or these things or limiting beliefs that we don't really want, we tend to have a very negative inner critic. So I believe that the self-talk is very therapeutic as well. All right, so that's been Mindful Monday for today, and that is one of my favorite techniques. All right, make it a great one.